The story of the Titanic is a story of ambition, pride, tragedy, and the profound lessons that followed. Long before the ship touched the ocean, the idea of building the world's largest and most luxurious ocean liner had taken root in the minds of those who sought to outshine every competitor sailing the seas. At the start of the 20th century, transatlantic travel was booming, and shipping companies competed fiercely to create larger, faster, and more elegant vessels. Among these companies was the White Star Line, determined to build a ship that would redefine ocean travel forever. In 1909, at the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast, Ireland, thousands of workers began constructing a vessel that was unlike anything the world had ever seen. The Titanic rose slowly from steel and sweat, an engineering marvel across 26 months of labor. It was nearly 900 feet long, as tall as an 11-story building, and built with massive steel plates held together by millions of rivets. Inside, it was a floating palace. Its designers crafted an interior inspired by the finest European hotels. Sweeping staircases adorned with intricate ironwork, chandeliers that glittered like stars, dining salons lined with wood-paneled walls, elegant smoking rooms, Turkish baths, and lounges furnished with velvet and mahogany. For the wealthy passengers who would soon walk its decks, it promised comfort and elegance unmatched by anything on land or sea. More than its beauty, the Titanic represented confidence in modern technology. It had 16 watertight compartments with heavy steel doors that could be sealed in seconds, a design intended to keep the ship afloat even if several compartments were breached. This system led many to believe the ship was unsinkable. It was not officially advertised as such, but the myth grew quickly, whispered with pride among the builders and spoken aloud in newspapers. It became a symbol of human mastery over nature, a triumph of engineering in an age that believed nothing was beyond human reach. On May 31, 1911, the massive hull was launched into the water for the first time. More than 100,000 spectators gathered to witness the event. Over the following months, the Titanic was fitted with all the luxury and machinery required for its maiden voyage. At last, on April 2, 1912, it sailed into open waters for its final sea trials before being declared ready for service. The great ship was assigned a maiden voyage that would take it from Southampton, England, to New York City, carrying passengers from the world's wealthiest elites to humble immigrants chasing new dreams. On April 10, 1912, excitement filled the air at Southampton's port as the Titanic prepared to depart. Hundreds of passengers boarded, first-class travelers dressed in fine suits and hats, second-class families filled with optimism, and third-class passengers who carried everything they owned for a chance at a better life. The crew, led by Captain Edward Smith, one of the most experienced captains of the time, moved expertly around the decks, ensuring everything was ready. When the ship finally glided away from the dock, cheers rose from the onlookers who had come to see the marvel begin its journey. It sailed first to Cherbourg, France, then to Queenstown, Ireland, where additional passengers boarded before the ship turned west toward the Atlantic. The first days at sea were peaceful. The Titanic traveled smoothly through the water, its engines humming with immense power. Passengers roamed its decks, enjoying the sea breeze, strolling beside lifeboats they hardly paid attention to, believing the ship invincible. First-class passengers dined on multi-course meals served on fine china, danced to orchestras gathered in lavish smoking rooms, and discussed business, politics, and society. Second-class passengers enjoyed comfortable cabins and libraries, while third-class passengers shared meals, music, and laughter in simple but clean quarters. The Titanic carried dreams from every corner of life, its decks filled with the rich, the hopeful, the hardworking, and the adventurous. But even as passengers relaxed, the ship was entering waters known for icebergs drifting south from the Arctic. On April 14, the Titanic received multiple warnings from other ships reporting large ice fields ahead. The messages were delivered to the bridge, but the ship maintained its high speed of about 22 knots. The crew wanted to keep the schedule tight, and the ocean seemed calm. The night sky grew moonless and cold, the sea smooth as glass, conditions that made spotting icebergs extremely difficult. At 11:40 p.m., everything changed. Frederick Fleet, stationed high in the crow's nest, suddenly saw a dark shape looming ahead. "Iceberg right ahead," he shouted, ringing the warning bell. The officers reacted instantly. The engines were reversed, and the ship turned sharply to avoid a direct collision. But the Titanic was enormous and could not turn quickly enough. Moments later, the iceberg scraped along the starboard side of the ship, creating a long, jagged gash beneath the surface. Many passengers felt only a faint vibration, not realizing disaster had struck. But inside the bow, water rushed into the lower compartments at a terrible speed. Thomas Andrews, the Titanic's designer, inspected the damage and understood immediately what others did not: the ship was doomed. 5 compartments were flooding, and the ship could stay afloat with only 4. The truth was undeniable: the Titanic would sink. Orders were given to uncover the lifeboats. The ship carried only 20 lifeboats, enough for about half the people aboard, because maritime laws dated from an earlier time when ships were smaller. The crew tried to maintain order, calling out, "Women and children first." Some passengers hesitated to board the lifeboats, believing the Titanic safer than small wooden boats in the cold ocean. As the ship listed more sharply, fear took hold. Lifeboats began lowering, some not filled to capacity due to confusion and disbelief. The night grew colder, the stars bright above the unfolding tragedy. The Titanic's band, determined to calm the crowd, played music on the deck as the ship slowly descended. Passengers clung to hope, to railings, to loved ones. The ship's lights flickered as seawater poured deeper into its hull. The bow sank lower, lifting the stern higher into the sky. At around 2:18 a.m., the ship broke apart with a thunderous roar, and within minutes, the once great Titanic vanished beneath the Atlantic, leaving behind lifeboats scattered across dark, icy waters. More than 1,500 people lost their lives that night, most of them men who had given their places in lifeboats to women and children. Those who survived endured freezing temperatures, huddled together as they waited for help. The RMS Carpathia arrived around 4 a.m., guided by distress signals. It rescued the survivors, many of whom were in shock and shivering from cold and loss. As dawn broke, the sea was calm again, but the Titanic was gone forever, leaving behind floating debris and a silence that would echo through history. News of the disaster spread rapidly across the world, causing heartbreak, disbelief, and outrage. Investigations followed, revealing failures in safety procedures, communication, and preparedness. As a result, new maritime laws were introduced. Ships were required to carry enough lifeboats for everyone on board, to maintain radio communication at all times, and to monitor icy waters with far greater caution. The tragedy changed ocean travel permanently, making it safer for generations to come. For decades, the Titanic lay undisturbed in the dark depths of the Atlantic, nearly 12,500 feet below the surface. Many believed it could never be found, yet in 1985, a joint American-French expedition located the wreck. The ship rested in 2 large sections, surrounded by scattered artifacts, shoes, dishes, luggage, and personal belongings that once belonged to passengers whose stories would never be forgotten. The discovery renewed public fascination, inspiring documentaries, exhibitions, and the world-famous 1997 film that introduced the Titanic's story to millions of people. Today, The Titanic stands as a powerful symbol of human ambition and vulnerability, a reminder of how even the greatest achievements can fall to nature's immense power. It is remembered for its beauty, its tragedy, and the lives that were forever changed on that cold April night. More than a century later, the Titanic continues to move hearts, teach lessons, and inspire the world with its haunting legacy, a story carved into history by steel, water, and fate.